Welcome to the Heal Yourself podcast, where we dive deep into all things healing. I'm Denise, a speech language pathologist and a self-love coach for adults and teens.
And I'm Kira, a traditional naturopath and functional nutritionist, and we're here to guide you through the transformative process of healing your body, mind, and soul.
From the latest in functional medicine to nurturing your relationship with yourself, healing trauma, and even transforming your money story, we're here to empower you with the knowledge and tools to create lasting change.
So whether you're looking to heal physically, emotionally, or spiritually, join us as we explore the many paths to wholeness and wellness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Heal Yourself podcast. You have Kira today. Denise could not join us, but I also have a special guest for you, Rachel Feldman, who I don't know how long we've known each other, Rachel. It's been a while now.
A long time.
It's been a long time.
I would say, do you think like 8 years?
Probably because Denise and I met about 8 years ago, and I feel like it was about the same time. Yeah.
8 years, long time.
I know. Awesome. Well, I'm going to, you guys know I love to formally introduce people, and then I'll let Rachel, talk a little more. But Rachel's a wellness mama. She's a former health coach of 5 years, a business success launch coach who spent 15 years in the online space. After earning just $13,000 in her first year, she realized she needed a sustainable strategy and built her business on solid funnels and systems. Within 2.5 years, she grew to 72,000, and by year 3, she broke 6 figures. And today, she helps coaches build profitable, sustainable online and offline businesses that actually last. And that is exactly how I met Rachel, buying some of her stuff.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Tell us how you got to this space. Like, not even where you're at today, we can get to that, but like what led you to the health and wellness space?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I love always telling my story because I think a lot of women can identify. I was a kid who had digestive issues, always having like that stomach that didn't feel well, taking time off from school. And I looked healthy and I was healthy. And then at about 18 years old, I got asthma. And that's really when things turned around. I was on life support twice.
Oh my gosh.
One of the points where they were like, say goodbye, she might not make it. And I always say, like, I also was that little baby that had like cradle cap and constipation. So there was always digestive issues. I also had an ulcer at 14. Looking back, I don't think that it was just food. I think that there was a lot of stress, and we'll get into talking about that. But I got asthma, and then when I was about 25, I remember turning to my mom, still having asthma, stuff like that, and saying to my mom, I just feel like I'm dying inside. Like, I don't know what's going on. Went to all these different doctors. They couldn't figure it out. And I finally went to this chiropractor who said, we're going to do a lot of testing. So they found out I had very high heavy metals, candida, all these different things that I was like, what?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? And he was like, oh, and it's going to be another 6,000 to evaluate this test. And I just felt very overwhelmed. I remember driving back. I lived in Philly at the time, driving back into Philly into what was now Whole Foods, which was Freshfields at the time, and came in tears and said to this woman, this is what I was just diagnosed with. I need every book that you can give me because I don't have another $6,000 to give this doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave me all these books, and that was when I started just geeking out in my own health and wellness journey. Found like Huda Clark at the time, found Paul Pitchford, like all these different people. In Philly also, there was a really big, heavy Chinatown. So I was going for acupuncture. I was like, I have to figure out every modality to get myself better. At the same time, I was in commercial real estate. So I was working my tail off in corporate, trying to balance these health issues. I would walk around with an H&M bag filled with like bottles and vitamins and everything. And it was this one acupuncturist who said to me, you know, you're not only so passionate about this, but I feel like this is your purpose. And one day, maybe you want to go and become a health coach and help people similar to yourself go down this journey. Well, fast forward, I ended up having my first child, and he had digestive issues, blood in the stool, food allergies, all these different things. And I was like, why why did I birth this baby with, and they weren't major health issues. They were like earaches that were happening a lot, all these things that I thought I'd been eating so clean, taking care of myself, did all these heavy metal cleanses, got rid of candida, got rid of parasites, and I still have birthed this baby that has these issues. And it just made me scared because I was like, these were the same issues that I had as a child. And I don't want my son, and then later had my daughter, and kind of similar issues. And that's when I finally said, I'm going to go back to school to become a health coach. And that's what really inspired me. It was my children, because I thought, how many moms out there are struggling with kids? They were saying that my daughter had sensory issues even as a little baby, some early signs of like inability to detoxify properly. She was having like a tough time at birth with breastfeeding because of so much candida and thrush. And I just thought, there is a mom out there who is exactly like me, who is having the similar story, and that's it. I'm going to go and help them. And that was what brought me to become a health coach.
Wow, I can't believe all these years I never knew that. Like I didn't know your story. And it's different, but there are so many similarities because I was the kid with digestive issues, and it's the same thing. It was cradle cap. My mom was told, well, it's psoriasis, it's eczema, and it's colic, but we don't know why because you're breastfeeding, which like they just assumed it came from formula. I don't know.
Right.
And yeah, it was in my mid 20s when I was teaching full time and beyond stress that I was like, okay, I think I need to help myself out. And that's when I went to school. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, we've both made a lot of shifts in our businesses. Obviously, you're not a health coach now, you help health coaches. And I started out, nutrition and then functional medicine, and it was labs and it was supplements. But I think we both kind of see eye to eye now that it's like, oh, maybe it isn't just changing your diet and just running the labs and just taking the supplements. There's a deeper layer, whether it's chronic stress, nervous system dysregulation, trauma. And I know you have hit burnout before. For the
Yeah.
women who don't know, because truly, I think there are women out there who are like, I don't know what burnout is. You don't know what it is until it hits you and you crash. What is burnout? How do you even know you're getting to that stage?
That's such a great question. And I remember having my second child, Sammy, and this doctor that I went to was like, "You're in the beginning stages of adrenal fatigue," which I'm sure you could give a better explanation of adrenal fatigue. But pretty much he was like, if you continue to go 100 miles per hour, trying to do everything for everyone and yourself, you're going to go into burnout. And I was starting to see signs of chronic fatigue after I had my kids. I was like, and that's what doctors would say. You have chronic fatigue, which really meant you don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. It's like
And
fibromyalgia and IBS. I don't know what to tell you. You
exactly.
just have this.
Exactly. You have this. And I was like, oh my God, I have chronic fatigue. I've always prided myself on my energy. I've always prided myself on being able to exercise and do all these things in my life. What am I going to do? And I started to really look at other areas of my life that were out of whack. And I started to hear people who would say, you're the kind of personality that needs to do yoga. You're the kind of personality that needs to do breathing. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm great. But what started to happen is I started to feel exhausted. and I started to go and see a person to do energy work. And that's when it started saying, like, okay, I need help. I need help calming down. I think that was the part of going to see the acupuncturist. Even though I was like, fix this and fix that and fix this, it was like this hour where I was just being quiet.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of testing. I mean, we did a lot of testing with my kids. We've done a lot of testing with myself. But when I hit that burnout in my life, that was when I started this career in the online space. And I think also age and hormones kind of attributed to some of that. But a lot of it, and this is through doing therapy and working with coaches, a lot of it was my overworking because of this need to prove self-worth. And so in all those years of doing, in all those years of being like super mom and with the cape behind me, I realized that a lot of it was just this overcompensation for not feeling worthy enough and not feeling smart enough. And so when I got into the online space, there was an overdrive, and I was building my business, maybe similar to you, where I wasn't fully healed. And when I say that, I wasn't fully healed with a regulated nervous system.
Which I think this is going to resonate with so many listeners because I know we have a lot of perfectionists out there. I know we have a
Yeah.
lot of type A personalities. We have corporate women, we have entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of women that listen that are all of the above and also stay-at-home moms, right? I've got
Yeah.
clients who I'm like, you still have that same personality. You're just not working a regular job, right? It's, oh, well, I stay home with the kids and I homeschool, but my husband is the earner. So I have to cook, I have to clean, I have to do this. I can't rest because rest is lazy because he's out working, he's bringing the money. Therefore, I'm not allowed to do this. And I'm like, no, start digging into that. There's so many layers that go into that, but where are you trying to prove your worth or who you're trying to prove it to? And also, you're going to burn yourself out. And why is it so hard for you to rest? That was a big one for me. It was all of these, right? But it was also, it's not safe to rest. And like you said, going to the acupuncturist, it's like, okay, well, I'm there for some work to get done, so it's safe to rest because I have to be there for an hour. But if you told me to go do some breath work or meditate or sit on the couch for 30 minutes, oh no, that's not safe because there's dishes to
Yeah.
wash, there's laundry to do. Like, it's
There's
so hard.
Joe. And I think it was the overdrive. Like I always say, because I am a recovering eating disorder person, I struggled with anorexia and bulimia. And I just traded addictions to like overworking.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that the eating stuff does not plague me at all anymore. I did so much work around that. But I think the theme of today is you have to do the work.
Yeah.
And that perfectionism and that need to control in the eating stuff for me was also what plagued me in the overworking. And when I was building my business in the beginning, I still was dealing with like that fatigue and those digestive issues and the well, we'll say the
Yeah,
IBS,
yeah.
like the loose stools, because I just ran on adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I ran on adrenaline even as a little girl. I remember, I've got a father who was always like, you need to look perfect. You need to act perfect. And that perfection carried through with me my whole life to the point that I had to, really recover from that
Yeah.
and ask myself, like, what about that perfection is that need, that fear that I'm not going to be loved?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the work that Denise and I are always talking about. It's like, sure, eat healthy, right? I want to encourage healthy eating. Take the supplements that you need, run the labs. But if you're doing all those things and not seeing shifts, you have to dig into that. I'll just say nervous system piece, right? Whatever it is if it's the chronic stress, the overdoing, the trauma, the patterns that show up, that's the real healing. And that's the piece of healing that, I mean, our podcast talks about, but also we believe that people have to work on forever. Like we are always
Yeah.
uncovering different patterns, different stories like, oh, where the hell did that belief come from? Like I didn't even realize that was an issue.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I found that for myself in so many ways. And I think as I've gone older, I turned 50 this last year, and I realized, okay, it was time to go back into therapy and do some deep work like
Mhm.
EMDR and brain spotting. I also did another method called RTM. And it was interesting because I thought that I had healed so many wounds, but there was another layer of vulnerability that I
Mm.
was willing to enter. I had gone through a really bad burnout 5 years ago where I didn't know if I was going to be able to do my business. And it was a really bad depression. It was depression and burnout at the same time. And if you don't know what burnout looks like, I think we had talked about that earlier in one of the questions, but I didn't answer it directly. It's if like what used to make you happy doesn't make you happy anymore. If you feel a lot of anxiety these days, if you feel levels of depression, if you just don't feel a spark in life, if paying a bill feels exhausting. Like I always say it's the word exhausting. It's like you just feel like you can't smile even though great things are happening around you. And so I went through that burnout 5 years ago, and I started going and doing deep work back then. And a lot of it was for me, and I'm not saying for your listeners, but it was self worth, self love, and that need to be perfect, and defining myself by my work
Yeah.
instead of by who I am as a soul,
Yeah.
and rediscovering who I wanted to be in my life without this need to be perfect in every area.
Yeah. And who are you? The authentic Rachel. And I think that's a hard one for us. And you mentioned peeling back another layer. I think it's always layers. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
great. I got through that one. What's the next one? And what's the next one? Because I feel like our soul was put here to evolve and to grow. And we can't do that if we're not peeling back those layers.
Yeah. And I think also the blessing, I grew up in a divorced family. My husband grew up in a divorced family. Both you get certain themes that I think show up. I looked for love in all the wrong places when I was younger, like whether it was boys or getting into extracurricular activities that weren't healthy for me. But I birthed children that don't have that.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of what I mean about, even though I was a dysregulated mama when my babies were first born, doing that work, seeing the acupuncturist that I saw for 15 years
Wow.
every day, every week for 2 hours,
Wow.
going to therapy, traditional talk therapy never worked for me, but these other modalities did.
Hmm.
And having that allowed me to be the mother and for my husband to be the father that we've really been, to raise kids that aren't repeating those same processes.
Yeah. Because otherwise they're gonna. We just keep
Yeah.
generationally handing it down. I'm like, oh, no, no, we're gonna stop some of this right now.
Yeah, I used to say like this stops with me
Yeah.
because I saw so much addiction follow
Hmm.
in my family, so much suicide follow in my
Mm.
family, so much mental illness, so many disordered eating. Like it was like there was always something. And when I look at my two kids, they are stable. I mean, they have their quirks, they have their stuff, so does every kid, but they know that they're loved, and because of that there breeds this confidence that sometimes I get jealous of my kids.
I get it.
But I get to have that now. I mean, I think that's the theme of what I hope your listeners get is, there's always a layer to be peeled. And, it's interesting because my therapist, the one that I've been actively working with for the last 5 months, she said to me, "You've graduated." she said, you've come in here and you've really given it your all. And I think when we do that, we come out with an even stronger nervous system
Yeah.
that says, I'm not going to go into fight or flight or freeze or fawn.
Mm-hmm.
Because that freeze, I would get so filled with anxiety that I would just freeze. Whereas I used to be a fight person, and that adrenaline stopped kicking in. And I got to the other point where it was just like freeze. And that was a horrible position to be in, especially when you're a person that is passionate about what you do,
Mm-hmm.
or passionate about your family, or passionate about your dreams. You just sit there and you're like, oh my God, I feel like such a failure in this position. And I get to not feel like that anymore.
Yeah. And this is why I think it's so important to find the modality or modalities that work for someone too, right? Like you said, talk therapy didn't work for you. It didn't do anything for me, but for some, it's like that's the best thing they can do. There's brain spotting, there's EMDR, I learned something new from you. What was the one you were doing?
RTM.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah. So there's so many. There's Primal Trust, there's online programs now. So
Yep.
just to anyone listening who's like, I don't know, like I am feeling burnt out, or I've been there, or I just have chronic stress and don't know how to deal with it, find something, right? Something has to shift.
Well, it's interesting because after my children, I started getting something called angioedema, where you have most often in the face or swelling, you'll have swellings. It's like
Mm,
edema in the face, lips are common. Maybe it was my foot, maybe it was rashes on my body. And I remember working with this one person, and he was like, you have an overactive nervous system.
wow.
Like you need to learn how to let go of the emergency. Because as a young child, especially when my parents were getting divorced, I felt like there was an emergency going on.
Hmm.
And, it was like we lived half with my mom and half with my dad. My baby sister was only one, and I felt this huge responsibility to take care of her while I was six. And it's just that set in motion this need to always take care of everyone, put everyone first before myself. And, those kind of patterns can show up, and they show up in the weirdest ways as we get older. And
Yeah.
I think for me, I was just sick and tired of those patterns showing up. And if you are a business owner, sometimes they'll show up where you have a tough time with visibility. You have a tough time, or maybe you're 9 to 5 and you have a tough time doing presentations. It's like, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you're having a tough time, as you said, just like resting and putting the pause button or asking for help.
Or saying it's okay if the laundry is not done today. Like the world's
Yep,
not going to end.
yep, exactly. All of that. I feel like it's so important. Rest is such, I make sure that I get
Hmm.
9 hours of sleep a night.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, where are you at now with your business? Because I know things have shifted for you somewhat recently too, right? You're doing more with podcasts.
Yeah, I added in a podcast management
Love
company
it.
because one, I really love to coach, and I wasn't doing as much coaching, and I love coaches to have visibility. But two, I'm still doing the Done For You programs. I love them. We have clients almost in every different country,
I believe it.
which is exciting.
Yeah.
But I just was craving connection. I think that's a big word, and something that funnels don't replace. I love funnels because they automate systems, but they don't replace connection. And that connection was something that I was missing. So I added a podcast management company. Um, and that's where I'm putting a lot of my energy.
Love it. Love it. Well, I've got two more questions for you. I'll keep them brief. One, is there anything we missed talking about in relation to burnout, stress, anything else that you feel like intuitively listeners need to hear or that I should have asked you?
I think you asked some great questions, but I would say to reiterate what you said, whereas if stress is coming up, there's stuff like bills and health issues that can cause a lot of stress. But a lot of those other stressors that are hitting us daily are stressors that are in our head. And we
Mhm.
have to ask ourselves, like, where is this coming from? Is this a learned behavior? Is this from a past trauma when I'm younger? Can I get over this by myself? Or do I need to go work with somebody like you, Kira? Like somebody that can help somebody shift
Mhm.
through and regulate their nervous system while also being cognizant of their diet and their exercise and their movement and all the things we need to do.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to be your own best coach. And that
Yeah.
is what I'm telling my clients. I'm like, I can't be with you 24/7. You have to start to recognize the patterns and start asking yourself questions of, okay, I'm feeling this right now. Why am I feeling this right now? Where is this coming from? How do I want to feel? How can I shift myself into that feeling? Like, yeah.
And making sure that I think for me, it was practicing the toolbox.
Mm.
It was practicing it long enough where when I do get stressed, I'm like, okay, we can handle it. Like the other day, my husband broke a tooth
Oh,
and had to go to the dentist, and like, not the dentist, but the periodontist. And
no.
that was like a $5,000 bill. And he was like, I feel so horrible. And I was like, there are stressors that come in. Luckily, we have rainy day and it's
Yeah,
fun and stuff like
yeah.
that. But that was a big bill that I didn't expect, and that's a stressor.
Hmm.
But I was like, you know what? Everything I've learned is not to stress about it.
Yeah.
It's to go and take action, like make the money back, run a sale, take some action, or just have faith that it's like it's going to be okay. And I think in situations like that, we have to learn how not to get ourselves into a frenzy
Yeah.
because we serve nobody when we're like that.
Yeah. It's not like being frantic is going to bring in money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, then my last question is pretty simple. If someone, like for health, wellness peeps who are listening, because I'm sure we have some listeners out there, how do they find you if they're like, what are these done for you programs? Because, guys, I'm just going to say, I leaned on several of those programs in the beginning, and every time I get an email, I'm like, what's new right now? And then I'm like, no, Kira, stop it, stop it, stop it. So, yeah,
I
how could
know
they?
we have 390 products these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
So you can go to yourhealthcoachbiz.com. If you ever have a question or you want to jump on a strategy session and find out what would be the right program for you, maybe you're even lost, like trying to serve everyone, or you're lost in your niche. I hop on discovery calls with people all the time. You can also go and follow me at Rachel A. Feldman on Instagram. You can always shoot me a DM or hit me up on Facebook at my personal. I always love accepting friends. And you can also, we'll just leave with this. My other happy home is rachelafeldman.com, where my podcast, Healthy Hustle, where I do talk a lot about it is for health and wellness coaches and entrepreneurs, but I do talk about burnout a lot and have a lot of really amazing guest experts.
Yeah. And guys, Rachel's the real deal, right? Like there's a lot
Oh,
of there I mean there is. I'm just going to say it. Like the market has shifted. There's a lot of
yeah.
I'll just say caution. I don't know if that's the best word, but like people are hesitant to buy products. People are hesitant to hire coaches because there's been a lot of shady stuff happening over the
Yeah.
years. Rachel really is the real deal. You message her, she's not going to be like, sure, let's hop on a 20-minute call where all
Or
I'm doing
here's
is
my
pitching to you.
salesperson.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
here's my salesperson. You
Yes.
get me on a phone call
Yes.
because I feel, trust me. And I think a big part of your why is you don't want people to suffer. I don't want people to suffer.
Yeah.
And so if you're struggling and you're a health coach or a wellness coach or functional medicine, I get on those phone calls because the struggle when I first started coaching, it was a struggle.
Girl, I'm
And I
10 years in.
figured it
There's still
out.
a struggle.
Yeah. Well, there's always a struggle as an entrepreneur. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
15 years I've been doing this and there's still struggles, but you don't want to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was such an honor to be
Yeah.
asked.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you on the next episode.